Hello, how are you children? All fine? Yes, so in today's lecture, this is the video for, so in last class we have completed chapter number 3 of the history. We have discussed the textual question answers and I had given the worksheet for that chapter 3 history also. I have shared in the group. I hope that all have got this and yeah, everybody is fine with it and you are completing your notes. I believe that. Okay. Yeah, and for your information, through this video, I'll be sharing that in the date of your submission for the it is 17 it is 17 and 18, right? I think yours will be on 18th. So for SS subject, you no need to submit any of the books because right now you no need to submit because as our course is pending. So after the completion of the course, then we'll move out further for the submission. Then yeah, then afterwards I'll check your books. Okay, so you no need to submit. Through this video, I'm just sharing you this matter. Okay, yes. So right now, let's get into the chapter. It's a new chapter. It's kind of a new topic that you're going to learn in this. But few of them might come that we have learned in previous chapter. 2 or 3 points might come. Okay. So in this lecture, we are going to learn about the that is chapter number 4. What books and burials tell us. Okay. We are going to learn about the books and what are burials. Okay, so we are going to see in this chapter in previous times. Okay, what the books were, how the books were, and what are burials. What do you mean by burials? That we are going to see in this chapter. So this video is the first part of the video. Okay, and there will be 2 parts for this video. So in today's part will be first part. So we'll discuss up to uh, there are 18 slides in the screen. Okay, as I'm sharing. Okay, so today we'll discuss up to the 18th slide of this chapter. Okay, up to social structure. Up to this will be the first part. Okay, so let's get started without wasting much time. Yes, so this chapter starts with kind of Vedas. What do you mean by Veda? Okay, so means some of the oldest books in the world. Vedas means Vedas. These are the some of the oldest books in the world were known as Vedas. And there are 4 kinds of Veda, which are the Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. Okay. So oldest Veda is the Rig Veda, and it was composed about 3,500 years ago. Okay, this is the oldest Veda, which is known as Rig Veda, and it was composed about 3,500 years ago. Okay, and Rig Veda includes what? It includes more than 1,000 hymns. Okay, hymns means hymns called like Sukta. Sukta means what? Well said. Okay, so these hymns are these hymns. What do you mean by hymns? They means hymns are in praise of various gods and goddesses. Hymns means it's a song that offer praise to God. So this is what uh, hymns mean. So Rigveda includes what? Thousands of hymns called the Sukta, which means well said. Okay, and there are especially 3 important gods. Which are they? As mentioned in your book, textbook. You can take your textbook also. Okay, page number 35 is I'm explaining right now from page number 35. Okay, so in that first paragraph I'm explaining that there are 3 specially important gods. Which are they? In your textbooks there are 3 given, which is one is Agni, second is Indra, and third is Soma. So what is the meaning of Agni? Agni means the god of fire, Indra means the warrior god, and Soma means a plant from which a special drink was prepared. So soma is kind of a plant from which a special drink in those times, the plant, with the help of that plant, they used to make a drink. Okay, that was prepared. Okay, so this is what the three specially important gods were. They're Agni, Indra, and Soma. Okay, and these hymns were composed by whom? The rishis, the rishi munis. Okay, of those times. Means English, it is in English it is said as saga, or sages. Okay, sages means, yeah, rishis. Okay, the rishis means prepared this hymns, or they composed these hymns. Okay, and Rig Veda was recited and heard. Okay, they were recited and memorized. Okay, they were not read. Okay, they were just spoken to many people. They did not read this Rig Veda, but it was uh, just through this. They just used to tell others about this Rig Veda. Means they used to speak about these things, and the people, the other people, one person used to tell this and the other people used to hear this. Okay, this is what how the Rig Veda was, this is what recited means the Rig Veda was recited and heard, and it was written down in several centuries later. Okay, it was written about several centuries, means after several centuries later, after many centuries, this Rig Veda was been written, and it is printed less than 200 years ago. Okay, that you can see in your page number 36, that paragraph. These books used were written and printed. Rig Veda was recited and heard rather than read. Okay, and it was written down several centuries later, and after it was first composed and printed less than 200 years ago. Okay, and the Rig Veda is in Vedic Sanskrit. Okay, it is written in what? In Vedic Sanskrit. Vedic Sanskrit means old Sanskrit, which is different from the Sanskrit we study today. It is really totally different from the Sanskrit that you're having. You might be having heard about the Sanskrit subject, right? So it is totally different from that Sanskrit subject, okay, that we study today. So in the previous time, the Sanskrit was different. It is known as Vedic Sanskrit or Old Sanskrit, which is different from the Sanskrit we study today. Okay. And let's see about what Sanskrit is. Sanskrit is a part of family of languages. Okay, as you can see in your page number 36, Sanskrit and other languages. That portion we are discussing right now. See, Sanskrit is a part of family of languages called what? Indo-European. Okay, okay. Yeah, here in the screen you can see. Yeah, the European. Yeah, spelling has got wrong. Yeah, wait a minute. I'll just clear it out. Yeah, I'll just make it correct. Yes. So yeah, Sanskrit is a part of family of languages, which is known as what? Because Sanskrit is the head of all these languages. It is a part of family of languages, which is known as what? Indo-European. Such as we can say, in which way you can say Indo-European? Means which includes other Indian languages, which belongs to this family are what? Which are the Indian languages which belong to the Sanskrit? They are Assamese, Gujarati, Hindi, Kashmiri, Sindhi. Okay, and which are the foreign languages which belongs to this family? Means the Indo-European family. That the name of that family is Indo-European family. In that family, Indian languages which are included are known as this. These are the five types of these languages. Indian languages which are related with this Indo-European family, which the Indian languages are the Indian languages which are part of Indo-European family. They are Assamese, Gujarati, Hindi, Kashmiri, and Sindhi. And the foreign languages which are or which belong to the Indian European family. They are Persian, English, French, German, Greek, Italian, and Spanish. Okay, so these are the languages which belong to the Indo-European family. Now let's say how can we say this language as a family? Okay, how can we consider that language is a kind of family? So these languages are called family. Why? Because they are originally They originally had words in common. Why? How can we say that these languages are common? Because they had some words which are common in them. Which are they? For example, we can say mat or matar. Okay, that is Sanskrit word. Ma is Hindi, and thar. So in English we can say mother. Okay. So similarly, in other languages belongs to different families. Which are they? For example, we can say languages in Northeast India belong to the Tibeto-Bourbon family. Okay. For example, we can say the languages which belong to the northeastern side of India, the country India, the northeastern side, the people living in northeastern side, uh, whichever language they speak, that language belong to which family? Tibeto-Bourbon family. And the people, those who speak Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam, belong to which kind of family? Dravidian family. Okay, so these are kind of the languages family as we are discussing right now. In the screen, you can see I have put the main topic as language family. Okay, so this Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam speaking states, they belong to which family? Dravidian family. And the languages spoken in Jharkhand and parts of central India belong to which kind of family? They belong to Austro-Asiatic family. So this is how the languages have been differentiated. Why they are differentiated? For our convenience, so that we might know that these are kind of languages. This is how we communicate with each other. That's why we this Indian the India country has divided these languages into different states. Okay, so this is what the language family is all about. Okay, now let's see about the let's see about the insights about the past. What can we consider about the past? What is that which is included in the past? In C, first point in your screen, you can see historians also study history from written sources. So they study history from which, in which way? From certain written sources. Okay, and or archaeologists find out about the past, but in addition to material remains, they examine written sources, as I have already said. Okay, by written sources, they study about the history. Okay, and let us see how they studied it from Rig Veda. Okay, and a manuscript of Rig Veda written on a birch bark was found in Kashmir. Okay, as I have already said in the previous chapter, we have seen that this is the one point as we have seen from previous chapter, which is that manuscripts, as we have already learned, that which were written on the palm leaves, or specially it was prepared on the barks of trees known as what? Birch, means which is grown in Himalaya. Okay, so this is what kind of a manuscript is a page from. So in your textbook, you can see on page number 37 on the first figure that is given. See, something is written. So it is a page from manuscript of the Rig Veda. So this is what manuscript is. So this manuscript is of Rig Veda, which is written on birch bark, okay, which is found in Himalayan areas, and it is found in which place? It is found in Kashmir, okay. Yeah, it is found in Kashmir, and it is now preserved in a museum in Pune, okay, in India. So this manuscript you can see right now it is placed in a museum which is in Pune, India. Okay, Pune is a place which is nearby Bombay. So in that museum, this manuscript is right now recently placed. Okay, so it was used 150 years ago to produce one of the earliest printed text of the Rig Veda. So it was used what? That manuscript was used 150 years ago to produce what? One of the earliest printed text of the Rig Veda as well as the English translation. Okay, so it was used to prepare what? The earliest printed text of Rig Veda was used for that printing of that. This was used about 150 years ago, as well as an English translation was also available for this. Okay, and there are certain some hymns in Rig Veda which are in the form of dialogues. Okay, so some Rig Vedas were in the form of dialogues. Okay, which are available. Uh, let's see the insights and inferences, how we can understand. So let's see an example what this insights and inferences can be placed with this Rig Veda. Let's see. So there is an example given in your textbook. This, as in the screen, it is given Vishwamitra and the rivers. That is given in your textbook, page number 37. So it was kind of a story in which this Vishwamitra is uh, asking, okay, oh rivers that come down from mountains and swift horses. It is means praying, okay, praying that why do you pray to us? Okay, means Vishwamitra is praying to that rivers that you are full of water and wish to unite with one another. So they had, Vishwamitra had that what means they like to unite with one another. So rivers are saying that, rivers are replying to them that why do you pray to us? Okay, O sages, why do you pray to us? So Vishwamitra is saying, let your waters not rise above our axle so that we can cross safely. So Vishwamitra is saying, we don't want your waters to rise above our axles. Okay, so uh, please flow from other side. Okay, don't flow from above us, so that we can cross safely. So the rivers are saying that, we will listen to your prayers so that you can cross safely. So rivers agree. So historians point out that this hymn was composed in the area where these rivers flow. Okay, so this is kind of a hymn. Okay, it is a hymn which was composed in an area where the rivers were flowing. And they also suggest that the sage lived in a society. The sage, okay, lived in a society where horses and cows were valued as animals. Means the horses and cows had a special, yeah, special recognition. Means they were the main part for that. Okay, therefore the Rig Veda was composed in northwest of the subcontinent. What is subcontinent? I have already explained in previous chapter. Okay, as I have already said, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, these are kind of are known as subcontinent. They are subcontinents of India. Okay, okay. So these are the examples of subcontinent, as we have already seen in previous chapter. So this Rig Veda was composed in the northwest of these subcontinents. Okay, and the sage lived in society where horses and cows were valued as animals. Okay, they gave the horses and cows very importance. Okay, so this is why the rivers are compared to the horses and cows, and the chariots were also as important as the and horses and cows were. The chariots were also very important. Chariot means, yeah, it is a kind of a vehicle which is yeah, driven with by two horses, which is driven by two horses, which is known as two or one horse, which is known as chariot. Okay, so chariots were also very important, uh, as with as important as the horses and cows were. Okay, so now let's see about how little more things about Rig Veda. So in the hymns of Rig Veda, other rivers like Indus and its tributaries and the Saraswati are also mentioned. Tributaries, as I had already explained in previous chapter also, that tributaries means the large part of river which meets the a small part of river that connects the large rivers or seas or oceans, which is known as tributaries. Okay, so in the hymns of Rig Veda, other rivers are there like Indus as and its tributary, and Saraswati were also very considered important. Okay, means they were also mentioned along with these horses and cows, as well as what, the chariots. Okay, and the Ganga and Yamuna were also mentioned along with this, but they were only mentioned once, only one time they were mentioned. Okay, now there are many prayers for this, such as what, cattle, children, especially sons, and horses. There are certain prayers for them. Okay, means many prayers in Rig Veda for cattle, children, especially sons, and horses. So the horses were yoked to chariots that were used in the battles. So we let's see why something which is very important. Why these things were considered as very important? Because anything which we consider that it is essential for survival. How can we say that it is used for survival? Because it is essential for which saves life. Okay, and uh, okay, and which adds value to our life, which adds comfort zone to our life, which is known as, yeah, very important. So these things feel us that or make us important. So I have already asked kind of why these things are important. Why? Because they are they might be essential for our survival, or it adds value and comfort or power, etc. So how these horse were used? These horse were used, and it was yoked as used as chariots, and they were used in battles which were fought to capture cattle. Okay, they were also used as battles, and which also were fought to capture cattle. So which kind of battle they used? So some battles were also fought for the land, okay, for gaining land from others, and also used for pastures and growing crops such as barley. Okay, for these things they use these animals for battle. And which kind of battles? They fought this battle for the land, for growing crops, and also used in some battles were fought for water, and also to capture people. So these things, these were kind of battles that were fought, and in which these animals and cows were used. Okay, and they were also used for capturing of cattle. Okay, so this is what we have seen regarding the animals and how they were used in previous time. Okay, and some of the wealth were also been obtained, wealth from wars. So which are they? Let's see. Some of the wealth was kept by the leaders, okay, well some was given to priests, okay, and the rest was distributed amongst the people. Okay, so these, after winning that battle, they gained wealth, and that wealth was obtained, was kept by the leaders, some was given to the priests, and the rest was distributed among the people. While some wealth was used to perform what? Yagnas. What is that yagnas? Yagnas means sacrifices in which offerings were made into fire. That is what known as yagna. Okay, yagna means what? Sacrifices which are made on into the fire. That is known as yagna, and they were done to please what? Gods and goddesses. For that purpose, these yagnas were being performed, and offerings included what? Ghee, okay, grain, and in some case animals were also means used as offering for that purpose. Okay, to impress what? Gods and goddesses. And wars were mostly fought by men, and there were no regular armies selected for this battles. Okay, so this is what. And now let's see how the people were being described. Words to describe people. So people can be described on basis of this work. So right now we are explaining on page number 38 of your textbook, which, that is from words to describe people, that section. Okay, in your blue, in the blue text it is written in your textbook. This is what I am explaining right now. The people can be described based on their what? On their work, on their language, and on the place of origin, from which place they come from. So this is how people can be described, and from which family they belong, which community, as well as which cultural practice they practice in their life. So this is how people could be described on these bases. Okay, so in the Rig Veda, if we consider, two groups of people were described based on their work. Which were they? Which were the two groups of people? First is the priest, second is the Raja. So priest, we can say they performed what? Rituals. Priest means, we can say sometimes they are called what? Brahmins. Okay, so these they in Rig Veda, there were two people that were being described according to their work. First is priest, which we call as Brahmins, and second is Raja. So Raja is, that means they are not as similar to priest. They are different from this kind of concept of king and priest. Okay, they are totally different, and they did not have any capital cities or places or armies. Okay, Raja means they did not have any capital city, and they did not collect any taxes from people, and they automatically did not succeed their fathers or Rajas. They did not succeed what? Their fathers or Rajas. Okay, and the second last topic for today, that is the words to describe community. How now community could be described? Okay, so let's see. In Rig Veda, there are two words which were being used to describe the community, means the people or the community as a whole. How can we describe? First point is Jana. Okay, So we still use this in Hindi and other languages. And wish means the word Vaishya, that comes from wish. Okay, so several wish and jana are mentioned by name, like Purujana or Vishyadu, Vishyadu Jana or Vish, okay, and Bharata Jana or Vish, etc. So these kind of words were being used to describe a community. Which were they? First is Jana, the second word is Vish. These two words were being used to describe community. Before we saw about describing people. This is for describing community. So this is what we have seen. And now let's see about the social structure of this Rig Veda. Let's see. They called their opponents as what? Dasas and Dasyus. And uh, okay, so these were people who did not perform sacrifices and probably spoke different languages. Dasyas means the opponent as Dasyas. These were the people who did not perform any sacrifices and probably they spoke different language. Probably means possibly, means they did not speak any other, they speak different languages only. Possibly it was, they were possible to speak different languages. Okay, and later the term Dasa and the feminine term Dasi. Okay, female we can say Dasi, and male, for male we can say Dasa. Okay, which came to mean what? Slave. Dasa means slave. Okay, the slaves were men and women who were often captured in a war, and they were treated poorly as property of their owners. So these slaves, or we can say dasas, were being captured in a war. Okay, and they were treated very bad manner. Okay, and their properties were being honors were also been collected. Okay, so they were treated poorly as a property of their owners. Okay, so in this way, how the community or people were being described, and also the community was being described in Rig Veda times. Okay, so this is what how we are discussed up to page number 39. Okay, up to do any of these names sound familiar? Up to that portion we have completed. So this is the first part of the video. I hope that you understood. Next lecture we'll continue with this. So read the portion. You have to read the textbook portion. This much part, that is page number 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39. Okay. Until then, we will continue with this in the next lecture. So keep it. Take care and bye for now.